Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to another episode of Manifesting Muslimah. I'm your host, Zara Pedersen, and in today's episode, we're going to talk about patience, specifically how to be patient. This is a question that I get a lot. This is a comment I see every time I post something. This is something that I hear a lot of the members in the membership group talk about. This is something that I see a lot of my one-on-one clients talk about. Clearly, this is something that is a struggle for a lot of people, and understandably so. I don't want to make it sound like patience is an easy thing. So I do want to just straight off the back, just admit, of course, or like to recognize that patience is a skill, and it's a hard skill to learn, because it varies. Sometimes it's kind of easy, sometimes it's not, and it really depends on us and our abilities to stay focused on certain things and our ability to surrender back to Allah's will and so many more things. So it really is a skill that varies. It's not like a skill that you learn one time and then it stays with you. It's not like riding a bike. Isn't that what they say? Like if you ride a bike once, then, or is it riding a horse? I can't remember. Either way, like it's not something like you learn it once and then you just pick it up really quickly again. It's a skill that takes time. It's a skill that you have to continuously work on, probably for the rest of your life. And it's a skill that will be easier to attain sometimes and really, really difficult other times. And that is why it is so highly rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We know this for a fact that Allah in the Quran speaks very highly of patience. He speaks of this skill as one that is rewarded greatly. So if you can harness this skill or focus on doing your best to harness this skill in difficult times, you will be rewarded greatly for it. And that is not because it's easy, it is because Allah knows that it requires from us effort and energy, and it also requires of us to set aside our ego quite often. And that is highly rewarded by Allah because Allah sees that we're willing to surrender for Allah's will instead of our own. So, the thing about patience that can make it quite difficult is that it's the thing of like, but I want to get to that thing. I want to receive that thing. I want to be in that moment already. You know, it's this anticipation of something, and living in the anticipation rather than in the moment. And that is what makes sabr so difficult to attain. Quite often when we want something, especially now, and I'm not trying to be like one of those people who are like, this day and age, but like, honestly, let's be real, because I'm always that kind of person. So I'm just gonna go straight into it. I'm sorry if my voice it feels a little croaky today. It has been for the last couple of days. So if it sounds a little croaky, I do apologize. I'll try to clear my throat from time to time, but yeah. But yeah, so I am definitely going to be that person because I do also believe that the times that we live in don't necessarily make it easy to be patient because we live in days of instant gratification. We live in moments of instant gratification. We live in times where if you want something, almost anything, it is very easy to get. You know, if you want food, you can just like the supermarkets are open until very, very late. And otherwise there's like DoorDash or what's it called? Uber food. I don't know. Anyway, any of those delivery companies, I don't actually use them. So I haven't used them for years. So I don't actually remember the name of them. But you know the ones. So even if the shops are closed, you can just order it to your door. So you don't even have to make an effort. All you have to do is just press a couple of buttons on your phone or your laptop and then, you know, the food's on its way to you. If you want gratification on like the way that you look, you take a good picture and put it online. And immediately you'll have comments, you know, saying, mashallah, you're so beautiful, stunning, wow. You know, there's going to be like people who are going to like big you up, you know, feed that ego. Nothing wrong with it, by the way. Like, I'll do that as well. You know, why not? We all need that little bit of an ego boost from time to time, right? But we can get that also pretty instantly. If we want to set up a business, we don't have to go through long, tedious processes anymore. We just have to have a TikTok handle, an Instagram handle, and maybe a stand store. And that's it. You've got yourself a business and you can start earning money. If you want to earn money quick, there are so many ways that you can get money easy and quickly. We're the ones who make it. If you've been with me for any amount of time, if you're in my membership, if you worked with me one-on-one, anything, money is the easiest thing to come by. Money is so easy. It's probably the easiest thing to come by. You can sell farts in a jar. Yes, you heard that correctly. Farts in a jar. And I only know this because of that girl who used to do that on TikTok, or like I saw like a girl talking about it, or like it was probably more like other people talking about her, and now she's retired. And again, girls, listen, this is not my world, but TikTok is, and TikTok reports on the craziest. And apparently, like, she made millions. She made millions selling farts, like actual toots. She tooted in a jar, put a lid on it, and sent it around the world to people who bought it. And don't ask me who buys stuff like that, but clearly there's a market for it, okay? Millions. Astaghfirullah. Okay, so, money is easy, right? Integrity with money, however, still easy, I would argue, but it can be a little bit more difficult to like figure out, okay, is that the route that I want to go down, or is this something that I would enjoy, anything like that, right? So money is easy. If you want to make money, you can sell farts in a jar, you can pull out some old stuff that you don't wear or use anymore, put it on Facebook Marketplace or Vinted or whatever, and sell a bunch of stuff. Just a bunch of things you can do. Sell your services, sell an hour of your services, go clean somebody's house, cut somebody's grass, take care of their children for an evening. Money is easy. Okay, so again, like even something like money can be found in, very easily, and be attained very easily. So clearly the days that we're living in, ease is the key word here that I would like to use. There's a lot of ease, and that might sound triggering to some, first of all, because you might feel like, but my life's not easy. And like, listen, that's girl, that's cool. Like, I'm not trying to come for you or anything. So if it's triggering to you, you should probably ask yourself why that's triggering. But that's not what we're talking about today. If you want to talk with me about that, we 100% can. Book yourself in for a one-on-one call with me, and let's have that conversation, because I feel like it would do really good to have that conversation. Okay, so first of all, that can be very triggering to some people to hear that we live in a time of ease. But also for some people, it might be like, well, that's good. That's a really good thing if we live in times of ease, like where everything can just be like handed to us easily. The thing where it's not helping us, or the point where it becomes a real challenging time for us, is in times where we need patience. Because everything is so easily come by and easily attained for most parts of our lives, it means that we no longer work on patience as a skill. It is not as necessary or sought after of a skill to have. And this means that we have become a generation of impatient people. We are not patient people. We're really not. If we want something, we go and get it or attain it or do it because we can. Do we want to date? Do we want to meet somebody? Download an app and start swiping. Do you want a friend? Bumble friend. Go out. Like, there's so many things. You're bored? Pick up your phone, right? Like, watch a movie. You don't have to like go to the cinema. Check out when something's running. Like, did I miss the last viewing of this movie? Restaurants, they're open until late, some of them all night. It's just so easy. So patience is not something that is honored in our society anymore. It's not something that is it's not a virtue anymore for a lot of people. It's actually, if anything, it's almost looked down like a, why are you trying to be patient? You can just go out and do the thing. Like you can just go and get the gratification, the satisfaction, the validation, whatever it is that you're looking for, you can go and get it right now. So like, why are you sitting there waiting for it? Like waiting for the right moment? Like you're being ridiculous. So in some ways it feels like, oh great, we're living in times of ease, but then in other places it's like, ooh, that might not be that great because we're missing out on something that Allah holds very, very dear to Him. And that is the skill of patience, the reward that comes with being patient, the what Allah sees in us when we are patient, even if there is something that we really, really want. So, this is where for us, because clearly you're sitting here listening to this episode, and as I said, a lot of you have reached out and commented and spoke to me about patience and patience being a difficult thing. This, of course, doesn't mean that there's nothing in this life that requires patience, right? Just because everything is easily attained. But it means that we're worse at honing the skill of patience, making it that much more difficult for us in times when we need to be patient to actually be patient, which is why, we see comments of like, I prayed for this for 2 weeks, I haven't got an answer. I've prayed for a month, I haven't got an answer. I prayed for a year, 2 years, 5 years, 15 years, and it hasn't happened yet. I've wanted this thing for a year now. I prayed and then I didn't get accepted. It didn't happen when I thought it was going to happen, whatever it might be, where these are moments when we need to be patient, right? And I specifically also really want to speak into that like point of like, well, I applied for the job and I really wanted the job and I didn't get it. Is that Allah saying to me that I shouldn't? That could also just be a question of patience. Maybe it's not the right time. So that also very much applies to moments where you're like, it slipped through my hands, or it feels like it slipped through your hands, right? That could also be a question of patience, okay? So if that is you, this could also apply to you still. So there are still moments, of course, where we need to have that patience, but we don't know how to hold patience. We don't know how to be patient. So how do we do that? Like, how are we supposed to be patient when we're so used to being instantly validated, getting that instant gratification, that instant approval, whatever it is that we think we need in that moment? And I think I've got the solution for you. And I say I think because I don't know much for certain. The only thing I know for certain is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So like everything else is just me doing my best. Okay, I'll just do my best, sis. All right. But one thing that I've come to learn about myself and about this world is that I'm not a patient person, but patience comes easier to me when I'm living in the moment. Okay, so it's all about living in the moment that you're in, even if you're wanting something different. Being able to be grateful and be still and enjoy the moment you're in, even when you're wanting something different. That is actually patience. Patience is not just sitting idly and just waiting. I think that's such a huge misconception about patience, that it's a waiting game. Like, I'm just waiting. No, but I'm waiting. And it's like, no, but it's not a waiting thing. Patience, sabr, is not waiting. Patience is living. Waiting would probably be the opposite of what patience actually is, because you're still living in the expectancy of the outcome of that, what you want. So it's not about just waiting, because that is you saying, I won't be able to enjoy myself until this thing comes into my life. I'm not having fun until, I'm not living my life until, I'm not going to be grateful and happy until. It's very much the opposite of patience, which again makes it very difficult for us to be patient, because we're constantly looking into the future rather than just living in the moment. Right? And so it creates this distance between what we want, where we are, who we are, and the thing that we're expecting to happen, to be, to become, whatever it is. And that distance makes it very difficult to stay in a mode of sabr. It makes it very difficult to stay in patience. So living in the moment, enjoying your life, even if you're expecting or wanting different, is the key to patience. It's how you handle the moment. It is not how your mindset keeps thinking of something else to be. It's about you saying, one day I trust that it will be because Allah has made certain promises to me in the way that I make dua and if I'm a good person and so on and so forth. But I don't live in my perceived outcome of my desires. I live in what Allah is presenting me with currently and living in the trust that Allah will bring better things, more things, more ease, whatever it is, into my life. That is what it's about. I hope that made sense what I just said, because I had to really find the words to say it in a way that sis, please do as usual, comment, reach out to me, let me know if I don't always make sense, so that I can try better to explain myself. So that's the thing. We're not living in the expectation of what we think is going to happen or what we want to happen, because that puts us in a waiting mode. If we say, I'm not going to, let me take an example. I'm not going to dress up and take care of myself, like my appearances, until I've lost weight. This is a very common one. I've seen so many women do this, especially when I was a personal trainer, but I still see it to this day. I've seen myself do it. Let's be very real here. I've seen myself do it as well, where there's almost when I lose the weight, when I've got the body that I want, when I'm trim and toned the way that I want to be, when I look in the mirror and I don't go, ugh, or whatever, then I will start wearing my nice clothes. Then I'll start wearing high heels. Then I'll start fixing my hair up. Then I'll put makeup on. Then I'll take pride in my appearances. And the problem of this kind of thinking is the phrase if and then, if I lose the weight, then I will do the thing. If I meet a husband, then I'll take care of myself. If I make the money, then I won't pay my bills late. When do you see what I mean? There's the if and then living, where you're basically postponing the enjoyment of being who you are and living your life currently, by saying I'm not deserving of that enjoyment and ease until a certain outcome has been attained. And that is not living in patience. That is not living in enjoyment. That is not living in the moment. That is none of those things. That is, in fact, postponing life constantly until such a time that you deem to be correct for you to start enjoying yourself. When in reality, you can say to yourself, the time, there are things that I can definitely improve within myself, mentally, with the place that I live, the way that I handle my money, the way that I am with other people, my relationships, whatever. But as I am improving, as I am calling those things in my du'as, I still deserve to live a good life now, and I still deserve to enjoy the life that I'm currently living. I can still enjoy my days as I am waiting for, expecting, hoping for, dreaming of, praying for, whatever it is, the things that I want for my future. But to live in the expectation of it to come is to rob yourself of the enjoyment and essentially rob yourself of the skill of patience, and the patience that is the active enjoyment of the current moment that you're in. Patience is not just a idly, as I said, waiting and in expectation of what's to come. It is patience I deem to be more of a way to be in the present moment with enjoyment and gratitude, despite still wanting more or better or different for your future. I think we can all agree that patience usually comes with like, oh, I'm going through a difficult time now and I just want it to be over with, or I really want this to happen and for whatever reason it hasn't happened yet, or whatever. Like there's is this living in the future of something to come. So it's very easy to keep postponing everything until that future. I see so many people doing it. So many people doing it. I'm thinking of one of you right now, one of you in my membership right now. So if you're listening, sis, you probably know that I'm talking about you. And we just had this conversation, you and I. Don't worry, I'm not going to say anything so that people about your situation or anything like that. But there's this moment in the conversation that we had where I also very much confronted you and said, hey, you're living in that whole moment of like, when this happens, then my life will begin. But what about the life you're living right now? That still counts. That still matters. Still very important. And the thing about putting all the enjoyment into the future is we don't know when the future is going to like step into the present. We don't know if Allah says that's not going to happen for another 5 years or that's going to happen in 5 days. We don't know. I mean, of course, we would like for it to come sooner rather than later, but Allah might say, I'm going to keep postponing it until you learn the skill of patience. Until you know how to be patient, until you learn how to enjoy what you currently have and live in the sabr. Live in the sabr. Not just like trying to hold on to it, like you're living in sabr actively. And then when you know that skill, I'll give you the thing. Right? And again, because we don't know when the thing's going to come, if we keep thinking of patience as something that we just need to hold until the thing comes. I just need to, keep making my dua and keep hoping for it and blah, 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 blah. No. That's not what it is. That's not patience. That is expectation. That is you rushing yourself. That is you robbing yourself of the moments that you're currently living. Because Allah might have said to you, you're not getting it until the akhirah. You're not getting it for another 20 years. What about the life that you're living in now? Right? So patience is in the moment. Every day saying, it is not here, but today still matters. So I'm still going to show up as the best version of myself. Not only for Allah, of course for Allah, but also for myself, for my own sanity, right? So what can I do? Even though I want this other thing, what can I do in this moment that'll still bring the enjoyment of the life that Allah is giving me right now? This second chance, this one more chance that Allah has given me by allowing me to wake up to another day, by allowing me to take another breath in, by allowing me to be in this dunya for another moment. What can I do to benefit myself in this dunya for the sake of Allah and to help and ease myself and the people around me? That is sabr. That is sabr, not by walking around complaining about your situation and keep talking into, well, when I do this, then I can, or when this happens, then I can be this person, or then I can do that for you, or then I can whatever. And a lot of us are living there. A lot of us are living in that. How many times, for those of you who are mothers, well, when your kids want something or it's their birthdays or whatever, listen, by the way, I understand financial budgeting and limits and all that good stuff. So this is not me trying to have a go or anything or say it's going to be easy in that sense. But like, how many times have you said to your kids like, oh, one day, when we have money, we can do these things and we can enjoy that and whatever. And in reality, your kids don't know the difference. You could go take them to the park with like, I was going to say a snickerdoodle, but I don't even know what a snickerdoodle is. I think that might even be a dog. I'm not sure. But like some cheese pops and a soda and depending on where you live because of the weather, of course, but like take them to the park and make a whole day of it. And they'd just be like, wow, I remember that day. Some of my best memories as a child was like, for instance, when it was raining and thundering really, really badly in Denmark, like it was really nice, like really thunderstorms. My dad would go out and he'd buy cocoa and marshmallows and he would wrap us up in blankets and sit on the balcony with us and watch it. So we'd be warm, drinking something warm, looking out on the cold. And we'd be like, that's some of my best memories. That cost my dad like, what, £2 for the marshmallows and the cocoa. Right? And we have this idea of like, oh no, I have to take them to these luxurious holidays and then their birthdays have to be in these bouncy castle situations. No, you make the moment for them, because it's for them, it's just like that question. Anyway, that was just an example, right? Like where we, as parents might go in and do that. And we basically almost put our worries and concern onto the people around us. So we don't live into the moment of just enjoying that part of being a parent where you can create adventures even in your own living room with making a fort out of pillows and turning off the light and, sharing scary stories with a flashlight pointed at your face, something like that. Because we have these ideas and we have these expectations or these things that we're comparing ourselves with online, where influencers are taking their children to Disneyland or Disney World or whatever, or they're taking them on month-long holidays to, I don't know, Australia or whatever. Like, and then we're like, oh, well, clearly this like pillow fort in the living room is not really that impressive. And in reality, the kid doesn't know any different. They just want to have a good time with mum and dad, right? Same thing with, let's take the example of before of like dressing up, even though you feel like, oh, I still want to lose a few pounds, or I still want to like gain more muscle or whatever. And so we don't take the enjoyment of just enjoying the body that we're in. Like, hey, like for weight loss, for instance, one thing that I've, from my personal experiences, when I was a lot smaller, so was my bum, my hips, my breasts. And as now, not a bigger person, but like a bigger than I was, I enjoy having like those feminine curves. So I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to lose a few pounds currently, but like, I'm also like, wow, but like, I'm trying to enjoy the body that I'm in and the feminine curves. And so I also, like want to dress in a way where I'm like feeling feminine in my body, in ways that I can't when I am more muscular. I don't know if I want to go to that point again where I'm muscular again. But the point is just like enjoying the process that I'm in, even though my goal might still not be the body that I'm currently in. I'm still enjoying it. With my business, again, like I'm just going to use myself as an example again, because I can speak to what I know best, and that is myself and nothing else. There are so many things that I want to do with Manifesting Muslimah, and I've got so many hopes and dreams for myself, for the community, for the podcast. Let's take the podcast, for instance. I've been doing this podcast now for just over a year, alhamdulillah. And, a year ago, I'd have been like, oh yeah, I'm going to get like 1 million downloads. I'm going to have like like 5,000 subscribers or whatever. And I'm just short of 1,000 subscribers, I think, on Spotify, and I can't even remember. I've stopped looking at the numbers, to be fair, but like, I don't know. I definitely don't have 1 million downloads or anything like that. But the point is, I'm enjoying the process of sitting down and recording and speaking to you guys. I'm enjoying the feedback that I'm getting. I'm enjoying connecting with all of you. So I'm enjoying this process because I know that at some point in my journey, I'm going to look back on this moment and be like, oh my gosh, I remember when, there was only like a handful of you who would reach out, or I remember when I couldn't afford sitting in a lush studio and in the background I'd be like apologizing for the dogs or the cat, or like even now, guys, who of you were here like back when you could hear my chickens and my turkey outside? Like literally, if you were here and listening to the podcast when you could hear my chickens outside when I was still living in Spain, and the turkey, send me a message, let me know, send me a turkey emoji. Like, who remembers? Because I still think back on those moments fondly, because even from then to now, so much has happened. But again, like I could continuously look to the future of things and what I'm hoping and be like, but I'm not there yet, I'm not there yet, I'm not there yet. And rob myself of the experience of still building something that inshallah will last me a lifetime, that I can continue doing for the rest of my life and reap great rewards and benefit and enjoyment from, why would I want to not have that moment with you guys, with myself, sitting in my cave studio apartment and looking around me and going like, oh my God, who knows where I'm going to be in a year from now? Because a year ago I was in Spain up in the mountains recording, and now I'm in Sicily, subhanallah, enjoy it, right? Like, just have fun with it and enjoy the moments of it, even the ones that are not necessarily perfect or great. Enjoy it. It's part of the process. Anyway, those are just like some examples from myself, that I'm hoping can put things into perspective. I have not made, again, I am a TMI person probably, but I don't care. But like, I haven't made millions with manifesting Muslimah. I'm not rich from manifesting Muslimah. I think a lot of people might think that when they see like that I have a semi-large following over on TikTok and whatever. But like, I'm making enough to get by, and alhamdulillah. But I do hope to make more one day. But currently I'm just like, but this is the beginning. I'm 1 year in, and I'm just enjoying the process and learning the learning curves. I'm getting to know myself, getting to know you, getting to know my brand, my voice, the topics, the questions. I'm just enjoying the process of learning and living into what will be, inshallah, the rest of my life. And that's what I want for you. So whatever it is that you're struggling with right now in terms of patience, I really want you to look at the time that you're in, the life that you're currently living in, saying, how can I make this enjoyable for myself? Because I don't know how long you're going to be in that process, and you don't know how long you're going to be in that moment of your life. And so say, well, instead of making it miserable for myself, like, I really want to move, so I don't want to like make my place a nice place to live in. Well, what about making it a nice place to live in? Because you're in that place until you move. I don't want to get comfortable at my job because I don't like my job. Okay, but what can you do to actually find some enjoyment in that job? I'm really struggling financially. Well, what can you do financially to budgetize so that you don't stress as much with your budget and your money? Little things like that. And sometimes it's not the biggest changes. I'm not saying that, you have to go out of your way to make huge changes. Sometimes it's little things. Buying yourself new bedding that you actually enjoy sleeping in, that makes your sleep at night that much more restful and wonderful. Sometimes it's a question of like setting aside, instead of constantly paying your bills late because you're scared of using the money and the scarcity mindset, paying your bills on time so you avoid the late fees, and then realizing, oh, when I do that, I actually have an extra £20, £30 a month, and I can use that on, I don't know, something for myself, a couple of candles, a good meal, whatever. Just little things like that makes it a little bit more worthwhile. And it doesn't have to be huge. It is usually the small things that will reap a big benefit over a period of time. Sometimes instantly, actually. It doesn't necessarily have to be over a long period of time. So that's what I would urge you to do. Whatever the situation is that you're in right now and the thing that you're feeling impatient towards, look at your current situation and be, how can I enjoy where I'm at now more? What can I do for myself in this moment so that I'm not constantly just looking to the future, but I'm also living in the present and enjoying the present, even though I'm expecting or wanting more for myself in the future. Okay, my darling, that is what I wanted to share with you today. I hope there was something beneficial for you in this episode. As usual, I'd love to hear from you. Please do reach out to me over on Instagram at Manifesting Muslimah, and let me know your thoughts. And please don't forget to rate and review the show. It does help with attaining new listeners and just getting the word out. And of course, share with people if you feel like somebody that you know would benefit from listening to this podcast. Do share. It does help. And I will see you in Thursday's episode, inshallah. But until then, my darling friend, please don't forget to live in love.